Hi friends, my name is Nikki and I am an intuitive, and this is gonna blow your mind. Yeah, it's gonna blow your mind because here's the deal. It is actually possible for you to attract the things that you most desire to attract in your life. Like, it is impossible that if you decide that you're gonna get the thing, like you can't just like 80% go in, you can't just 90% go in. You have to like 100,000,000% decide it's gonna happen. It will happen. And I wanna give you guys some insight as to begin that process. I wanna give you guys a little bit of a story that's gonna help you attract more of what you're asking for in your life, because it is legitimately possible. Now, we call this, like, yes, you watching this, the source clarity community. Source clarity is tapping into your inherent high-level brilliance, your inherent high-level genius to live a life that's in accordance with your mission and your purpose. So let's get into the story. And as you're listening to this story, I want you to see if you can extract the lesson from this story, although it'll be in the story, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But, you know, when I was a kid, right, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention like to the teacher. Like in school, I was not paying attention. I've always been someone that's pretty interested and fascinated with creativity. And I remember writing songs. I wrote my first song when I was 10. And the song goes like this, ready? Waters are blue, just like the tears rolling down your face. I hate to see you cry like this. Your eye. Anyways, it keeps going. I wrote my first song at 10. And I remember like writing songs in class, wasn't paying attention. Anyway, there was a thought that formed within my mind. And that thought was, Nikki is unintelligent. Why? Well, I wasn't paying attention to the teacher, okay? This reflected in my grades. I began to feel this feeling of Nikki being not intelligent, right? Feeling stupid, okay? I attracted more that reflected that stupid feeling back to me. I remember attracting like friends that would be critical of my intelligence, thinking that it was funny, like, you're stupid, like all the time. Like it was like a theme, like Nikki is not smart, Nikki is not smart. And the more that I attracted those experiences, the more I felt it and the more I wasn't paying attention, and my grades reflected this. So I had this limiting belief that caused me to feel as if I was unintelligent. Now let's fast forward a little bit, okay? At around 16, I had a proper spiritual awakening, okay? What do I mean by a proper spiritual awakening? Well, for as long as I can remember, I have been just excited about the spiritual world, the non-physical world. Like in 6th grade, I saw the movie, which I think a lot of you are aware of, this movie called The Secret, all about the law of attraction. And I attempted to implement it in my life. It wasn't really working. So the way that I describe it is this: for as long as I can remember, spirituality and self-development in this world of like law of attraction and manifestation, it's always resonated with me, but it didn't always make sense. And at 16, it began to make sense. And what I mean, it's kind of like, I want you to imagine you have this math teacher that has this complex math equation on the chalkboard, and they say this complex math equation equals X. And maybe you trust that teacher and it resonates, the answer, but it still doesn't make sense. You're like, I don't know how like 1 + 1 equals the 2. So complex. Anyway, at 16, it like made sense on like a math level. I was like, oh, I get it. And what I began to realize is that we have a higher self that is dreaming this physical reality. I legitimately began to see this physical reality like a video game, and that we are characters in a video game, and we can legitimately be any character that we desire to be. And so if I am someone that is feeling stupid, I'm going to live out a reality that reflects back that stupidity to me, that feeling of stupidness, and things of that nature. So at 16, I had this awakening, and I began to tap into this this observing of thoughts, creating space within the mind to observe the negative thoughts and see them instead of identify with them. Observe them instead of identify with them. Observe them. I was observing my negative beliefs, my limiting beliefs, instead of identifying with them. I was observing them like passing clouds, like passing cars, instead of identifying with them. And this was magical for me because I realized the mind is filled with illusions. So many of us, we're under this hypnosis. We have an illusion. We have a limiting belief. Nikki's was that he was stupid. The reality, I wasn't paying attention to the teacher. I was focused on writing songs in class. And I was also that kid in school that was like annoying. Like if you were someone that got good grades, you couldn't stand me because I was in the corner of the classroom being annoying, being loud. Like I was that kid in school. Like I wasn't paying attention, being social, whatever it may be. So at 16, everything flipped on its head. And one thing that I felt absent of earlier on in like I would say more towards like middle school and then early on in high school was like social abundance, like popularity. And I remember going, okay, someone that is popular sees themselves as that, okay? And I had like 2 friends at the time. And instead of seeing me and my 2 friends as something that was like not popular, not cool, I started to see us as like cool. Like I started to see us as like, no, that's cool that it's just me and my 2 friends. And there was this like outdoor table where the popular kids sat. We sat like around the corner at this like green little bench. And instead of being embarrassed about it, which I was at one point, I started to see it as like, oh no, we don't care, we're cool. Like I was so embarrassed to just like exist. My one friend who was like, didn't care what people thought, would like ask me sometimes to walk through the lunchroom. I wouldn't even want to do that because I wouldn't even want to be seen. But anyway, I had this awakening and I realized that we are like video game characters. We can literally change how we see ourselves, change the story. And I don't know how to put this into words for it to make sense. Literally 180. My confidence shifted, my social life shifted, and it felt almost kind of like a movie because I realized that so many of us, we have these limiting beliefs and we succumb to them. At one point, me interacting with someone that I thought was like popular, cool, my palms would be sweaty. I'd have all these limiting beliefs and thoughts going, they don't want to interact with you, Nikki, because they're going to be embarrassed to hang out with you, just go away. I'd like crawl away like a little like gremlin. But instead, when I started to interact with people that had friends and stuff like that, again, at one point I literally had thoughts going, they don't like you. But instead of, when those thoughts would show up, I started to observe them. And I would change the narrative. I would go in my brain, right? And I would just go, people that have a lot of friends, they also have these thoughts, they don't succumb to them. So I started to ask myself the question, how does someone that is intelligent, because the first story, act, and someone that is socially abundant act? And these things began to flip on their heads. I want you to ask yourself, okay, I want you to think about your own life. What limiting beliefs have you been harboring for so long where your reality has legitimately reflected it? You have all the evidence to prove why you're correct, like I did. My grades reflected this, my friends reflected this. But it's not true. This just might be your sign to flip the script, change the narrative. It's going to require you to frequently see yourself for who you really are, because your brain is attempting, or your ego is attempting to protect you at all costs. And your fight or flight systems latches onto those thoughts and it thinks, that person doesn't like you, get out of there, or whatever it may be. Maybe you're going after your dreams and goals and you're like, that's never going to happen. Your job is to observe that thought and to shift it. Now, one of the ways that I began this practice was through meditation, because meditation gave me this opportunity to create that space within the mind. Meditation gives us an opportunity to create space within the mind and tap into that who you really are self. If you're someone that wants to like attract financial abundance, you have to legitimately ask yourself, how would a financially abundant respond to my current circumstances? So maybe you feel like you don't have any money in your bank account. The question to ask yourself is, what are the thoughts and the actions and the feelings of a socially abundant person that they would interact with this experience that I'm having? Okay? It's not about the getting and attraction, it's about the being that person that already is. And the thing is, who you are at your core is abundant. So when you see yourself as financially abundant, you're tapping into who you really are, because who you really are is abundant. When you see yourself as socially abundant, who you really are is abundant. So you're tapping more into who you really are. So this video game that is life is about seeing you for who you really are. And think of this avatar, this physical form, as like a character in a video game. Like legitimately, that's what it is. Who do you want to be? And be it. Do you want to be a happy person? Okay? Now, a lot of people are watching this and be like, dude, Nikki, you're sort of dismissing the difficulties in experiencing a certain level of happiness by just saying, go be happy. It has to start somewhere, though. If you decide that you are going to be a person that is happy, you're going to find a way to experience it. And maybe it starts with just 30 seconds in your day, through a meditation practice, through calling friends more often. You can start to see yourself as a courageous person. I want you to see this avatar in your human self as a video game character. You get like, and then literally ask yourself, who do you want to be? Do you want to be a courageous person? Do you want to be an empowered person? Any thought that feels empowering and feels good is more in accordance with who you really are. Any thought that feels limiting or resistant is a thought that is distancing you from you. Okay, that's why it feels off. You have this emotional guidance system and your intuition, and they collaborate to communicate with you that that thought is off. It is inaccurate, and that's why you feel off. Okay? So this is your sign. You get to choose how you see yourself. Now, where a lot of people get tripped up is that they might do this for a couple of days and then they go back to their old ways of thinking because they have these old neural pathways that are causing them to feel inadequate, and they just eventually succumb to them. Anytime you have a new thought or a new experience, you create new synaptic connections within the neurons in your brain, okay? So if you frequently think thoughts for, I don't know, 2 months, 4 months, 8 months, 2 years, you're gonna begin to create these neural networks, okay, that are essentially going to allow you to inherently feel the abundance that you've been practicing feeling, but you have to frequently feel it. It's like watering the seed of a tree. Okay, most people will water their garden for a couple of days, but then after a couple of days they get tired of it, or maybe they'll water it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. You have to legitimately, frequently see yourself as the thing that you desire to feel frequently. And now manifestation is a two-part process. It is feeling what you desire to feel and also aligned action. So I don't want you to hear this and go, you have to see yourself for who you really are and that's it. No, see yourself for who you really are and put yourself in situations where it's gonna challenge you. So for me, when my life flipped 180, I had to put myself in situations where I was around people that were socially abundant, and it allowed my insecurities to arise, and I could then in that moment shift that limiting belief that would have never shown up if I didn't interact with people that had a lot of friends. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, okay? So I want you to take this video and ask yourself, how can I begin to observe my thoughts more, especially my limiting beliefs more, and start to change the narrative, shift the script, because watching videos is great. It's awesome. Going to seminars is great. Webinars is great. Going to courses is great. Retreats are great. Watching videos is great. But it's really about what you do with this within the next couple of months. What if you were to frequently decide to see yourself as someone that is abundant in all areas of life, someone that is loving, someone that is connected, someone that is a healer? How would they act? How would they feel? How would they speak? Like, your subconscious mind has got no sense of humor. So when you're joking about, your stupidity, your subconscious has no sense of humor. It doesn't know the difference. So how would you speak to others and about yourself? It's the integration that will change your life. It's not gonna be me, okay? It's not gonna be Billy Bob. It's not gonna be anyone out there. There's no savior that you have except for yourself. So the hard question to ask yourself is, how can I begin today or tomorrow morning, wake up and see myself as the person? And then you're gonna have a moment where you go back, we take a couple steps back, and you start to see yourself as sort of your negative perception of self. Then go back to seeing yourself for who you really are. And you'll go back again. The idea is resilience, to keep going, okay? It's possible, 100,000% possible. No, it is impossible that you don't get what you're asking for if you just decide it's gonna happen. It is like a math equation, but it begins with you seeing you for who you really are and dissolving the illusions within the mind that cause you to feel like you are not remarkable and brilliant and amazing, okay? So here's what I want to do. I want to thank you for watching this video. You guys, you guys were watching this from all around the world. You could have been anywhere in the world and you decided to watch this guy talk to you. We call this the Source Clarity Community. We actually have a free community. We have free meditations. We have like-minded incredible souls. We have a 5-day free intuition series. It's all in the show notes. And feel free to like the literal shit out of this, comment the literal shit out of this, because I'm gonna be answering your comments, responding to them, and subscribe like a motherfucker. Okay, so it's gonna be awesome. And do me this favor, stay awesome and authentic, beautiful human. Alrighty, peace.